What is up, my toasty buns? Welcome back to Brown Man Films. I'm your very crunchy Brown Man, and today we are doing another episode of Brown Man Reviews. Today I'll be reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it is quite amazing. It came out yesterday, May the 2nd, for us here in America, and I went to see it and I pooped my pants. So, there will be a spoiler-free talk/review, and also a shit ton of spoilers talk/review. So, if you already watched the movie and you just want to get some opinions and thoughts on what, I thought about the movie and, the things that happen in it, then you guys can just go to the second part of this video where I'll be talking spoilers, and you can do that by clicking right here on the right, and it'll take you right to the second part. And then, towards the end, I'll be doing my final thoughts and my final score. So yeah, just click on there and it'll take you to the second part of the video, and you guys, like I said, can watch the spoiler talk and review and whatever, so you guys don't have to watch a normal review where I can't spoil anything or any of that stuff. But yeah, so make sure to have your annotations enabled, by the way, on the video right here, so you guys can see the link and you guys can click on it, because otherwise you guys won't be able to click on it. But if you guys don't know what annotations are, just go right there on the bottom of the time where the time of the video is, and there's a little wheel. Just click on it. It says annotations, and turn it on, and it'll show you a little box around it. It'll be like a transparent box around it, and so you guys can just click on that, and it'll take you, like I said, to the second part of the video where you guys can just watch a bunch of spoilers and poop your pants with me. Anyways, if you haven't watched the movie, then just keep watching, and we'll get into talking about it soon. And right before I start talking about spoilers, I'll give you guys, the non-spoiler people, a chance to just skip to the ending where, like I said, I'll give my final thoughts and my final review on the movie. So yeah, let's get jiggy with it. Anyway, guys, spoiler-free thoughts. This is what we're going to talk about. There was a lot of awesome action in this movie. Like I said, I saw The Amazing Spider-Man, and it was quite amazing. I'm not going to lie, it was awesome. I enjoyed the shit out of it, and one of the awesome things about it was that there's awesome action sequences. The special effects were definitely, raised, honestly, from the first movie. The first movie had awesome special effects, I'm not gonna lie, but the special effects in this movie and the Amazing Spider-Man 2, yeah, they are completely above the first one, honestly. The way they make the combat with the special effects, and all that stuff, just completely awesome. It brings you right into the fight. You feel like you're right there watching them smack each other's nutsacks and shit. And yeah, it's a really, really awesome sequences with where the fighting happens. So I definitely enjoy that from the first one, because the first one, it had awesome sequences with the Lizard when they were fighting, but the ones here are definitely more Spider-Man like. He's like slinging and sliding and shit. Like he's throwing his webs everywhere. He's using them to balance himself out, and he uses them against his enemies really awesome, in a really awesome and tactical way, which is one thing that I really love about the Amazing Spider-Man in the comics. The way he uses his webs for combat, and they really, really showed that part of the Spider-Man in this movie. So yeah, I definitely thought the combat in this movie was awesome. Nothing can say that it wasn't, and it was definitely a step up from the first movie with the combat and all that stuff. Another awesome thing that, like I said, is that they improved from the first movie. The first movie, the story was awesome, the villain was awesome, but the villain and the fightings and all that stuff, it was still an origin movie. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 was still the origin of Spider-Man. So they didn't have as much action, because they kind of focused on Peter Parker and how he's becoming Spider-Man, but now he's Spider-Man. You don't have to wait and see how he becomes Spider-Man, and a spider bites him in the inner thigh, and then he's like, what, these are herpes? No, it's a spider bite. So it's that, all of that is gone. You don't have to wait for that, and it's just a bunch of awesome action and a bunch of Spider-Man slinging his web everywhere and just being awesome. So that's definitely something that I enjoyed, and like I said, it's an improvement from the first movie. Another thing is that Spider-Man uses, like I said, a lot of his movements. I just can't, tell you guys enough how awesome he uses his webs and all, how agile they make Spider-Man look in this movie. They make him look from the like just like from the comics. He's super agile. He uses his webs for everything, and he is the Spider-Man from the comics. So if you're a comic book fan, you're going to love this movie. But if you're not a comic book fan, yeah, you're still gonna pee your pants, basically. Another thing that this movie does really cool is the way that they kind of give hints to the Spider-Man universe in general. You know, they use Ravencroft, which is kind of the asylum of the Spider-Man world, where they keep all the crazy villains and all that stuff. They hint towards other villains in the movie, and they also hint towards possibilities of other things and other villains that may come into place in future movies. So I really like the fact that they're actually kind of digging more into the Spider-Man universe, and they're using a lot of the aspects from the comics and bringing them into the movie. So I really think that that's one of the awesome things that this movie does, by just adding a lot of cool little teasers and also cool little things from the comics into the movie. And also character development. The character development in this movie was good, but it was good between Peter and Gwen. Their relationship, I feel like they handled it really well in this movie. It wasn't a cheesy relationship. Like sometimes you have movies where you're like, whatever, that would never happen, in a normal relationship. But with this one, you actually kind of feel their struggle and the things that they're going through, as a normal relationship. You're dating Spider-Man, the guy who jizzes webs out of his wiener, and obviously there's going to be some trouble with that. And they actually go into that quite nicely and not rushed or cheesy or stupid in any way. It actually feels just like a normal relationship, and that's what I really like about the whole chemistry with Peter and Gwen, as their relationship continues in this movie. One of the things that I didn't really like with character development is the way that they handle Green Goblin, Harry Osborn, and Electro's character, which I can't remember. I think it was... See, no one cares about Electro, just like in the movie. No, I actually liked Electro a lot in this movie, but I can't remember the name of the actual character before he becomes Electro. But yeah, both of those characters were awesome, but they weren't developed as much as I wish they would have been in this movie. And honestly, there's just so much things happening in this movie that you kind of lose the awesomeness from all these things, because there's just so many things happening. One thing's happening here, another thing's happening over here, other things happens over here, and so you kind of lose the fact that all these things are happening, and you just can't enjoy them. It's like going to a buffet and you're like a 700-pound person, which if you are, it's fine, that's awesome, 700 pounds of awesomeness. But if you go to a buffet and you're 700 pounds, you want to eat everything, but you can't because you have one tiny plate, like a little plate for your tea of cup, and so you just can't enjoy all of it. So that's kind of what this feels like. There's so much of it, but you just can't enjoy it, and it's not even that they added so many characters. I feel like it's more of the fact that they didn't know how to handle the timing of those characters correctly with this movie. They spend too much time using and showing things that honestly weren't that necessary in this movie, to be honest. And I don't know, it kind of bothered me, but just character development in general, it was good with some characters, but with others, it definitely lacked. And like I said, I didn't mind that they added those 3 characters, but they just didn't use them properly like they could have. And especially Electro, because he's the main character, he's a main villain of the movie, and he's an awesome villain. He had the potential to be super awesome, which he was, but he wasn't awesome for long enough for you to be like, damn, I want to be Electro. You're just like, oh, Electro's pretty cool, but Bane or the Joker, they're definitely awesome. So yeah, I wish they would have delved more into Electro's, villainness and awesomeness more than they did, obviously, in the movie. And also, I wish that they would have just hinted towards some other villains instead of, because they also use Rhino in this movie, which is a guy in a mech suit. If you've seen it in the trailers, if you've watched the trailers, but I just wish, like I said, that they would have left some of the characters out of this movie if they weren't going to use them properly. Like, if you were going to use Harry Osborn, then spend more of your time on the villains, on Spider-Man, and a little bit less time on Gwen's and Peter's relationship, because I see why they did it in the movie, and you'll understand, I guess, once you see it. But still, I feel like they could have used their time more wisely by taking out some of the rubbish things that weren't necessary to be in the movie. To be honest, there was just some things in the movie that you're just like, this does not need to be in the movie. You can use it for Electro, you can use it for Green Goblin, you can use it for other things instead of these kind of just dumb, useless parts of the movie. Like sometimes where he tends to save a lot of civilians, and he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but they just use a lot of this friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that it's just like, oh god, I get it, he's friendly, just come on, fight a villain, so I don't know, that's just kind of what bothered me. And I wouldn't have, I don't know, it bothered me that they did that, but like I said, it just leaves you wanting more because there's just so many things happening that you just want to see more of everything. And, there's just so many things. That's one of the biggest problems with this movie, is that there's just so many things that you just don't get to see enough of everything that you want to see, and they just didn't use their time wisely with what they wanted to put in the movie. Like I said, there was so many interesting things in that movie and stories that they could have obviously gone into more detail with, at least a little bit more detail, and just kind of scratch a lot of the other stuff out because it just wasn't necessary. I mean, I went to see the Amazing Spider-Man fighting villains, not the Amazing Spider-Man helping a kid get ice cream. I don't want to see that Amazing Spider-Man. I want to see the Amazing Spider-Man that fists you with his webs. You know what I mean? The one that crawls into your inner thigh. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Never mind. Anyways, but yeah, and also one of the last things that kind of, this is not against the movie really. This is more against the marketing of that Sony did with the movie. Is that the trailers really spoiled a lot of the movie. The trailers showed a lot of footage from the movie. Honestly, you go into the movie. And I watched all 3 trailers that they did. And even after the 3 trailers were released, they still released like tiny clips of the movie. And I didn't watch the clips, but I watched all the trailers. And I went into the movie, I watched it, but even though there's awesome scenes in this movie, because I watched the trailers, it was less exciting, to be honest. And I just, Sony, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you don't even have to be watching this, because this is sort of like a just kind of talking. Obviously, if you want to see the pictures, but whatever. But yeah, if you're listening or watching this, don't show so much footage next time. Just don't, because it kind of ruined the movie a little bit, and I just didn't like it that much. Anyways, moving on to spoilers, a shit ton of spoilers. So if you don't want to listen to any spoilers, click right there on the right of, obviously your lovely picture of Spider-Man, and you can click there and it'll take you, like I said, to the end of the video where I give you guys my final thoughts and the final score of this movie, and convince you to watch it or not to watch it, or it's up to you, I'm just saying. But yeah, so just click there and go to that, because there will be heavy spoilers, or maybe not heavy, but there will be some spoilers. So yeah, do not keep watching if you're gonna be all butthurt about it. So click away, goodbye, see you later, see you at the end of the video. We're gonna get into spoilers. So some of the things that I want to talk about is, again, the villains. The villains, they just made Harry Osborn look really stupid. and the fact that at the end where Gwen, she dies and all that stuff, I feel like that fight with the Goblin could have been more awesome. That fight, again, if they would have scratched off some of the things, like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man saving 2 planes about to crash with each other, that was pointless. That was useless. It was a waste of time. They could have used that time, honestly, to just say, look, Spider-Man's fighting Electro. He is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man because he's going to fight Electro, which could have killed millions of people, So I think that that's what they should have focused on, instead of, oh, look, Spider-Man is walking this kid to to school or something like that. But this is one of the things that kind of made me mad about it, that, again, they had all these cool characters. They had these cool aspects to the movie, and they just kind of threw them away, And Harry Osborn, honestly, Dane DeHaan is one of my favorite actors, and they threw his character away in the movie. I mean, I know they're going to probably hint and do more with him, because he's going to build the Sinister Six, as you guys can see towards the end of the movie, but he beats Harry Osborn, the Green Goblin, extremely fast. I mean, Harry Osborn tries and shank him, Spider-Man stops him, he hits him, Harry Osborn tries and choke him, and then that's that. Then Gwen Stacy dies. Harry Osborn gets like, you know, choked or whatever happened. Like he hits his head or something, and then that's it. It's like, what? Why? You know what I mean? Like I wish I could have seen more of that. Like at least 2 minutes of more fighting, or at least a minute more of that fight. You know, more intense fighting. Because even though that scene was intense towards the end where she dies, it wasn't intense enough for me to be like, oh yeah, you know, wow, I want to watch that 200 times. You know, it was awesome, and I want to rewatch it, but I wish I rewatched it and it had more to it. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that bother me. And also Rhino is useless. Again, towards the end of the movie, he is Rhino. And he's supposed to be this awesome badass. He's got a mech suit. He's going up against Spider-Man. And Spider-Man just shows up again. Gives that kid a little knuckle to knuckle friendly neighborhood Spider-Man-ness. And then he swings a sewer thing on his face, and it seems like he defeated him. That's it. He just hits every single missile out of the way and defeats him. It's like, what? He has a mech suit, and this is a guy in a Spider-Man suit. Yes, Spider-Man is superior anyways, regardless of whatever, you know, Spider-Man is going to end up winning. But still, you know, I feel like he has a mech suit. He could have done more damage. And if not, just completely remove that from the movie. You know, it wasn't necessary. You didn't need it, and it just wasn't necessary in general. And just other things in the movie, like I said, what I really like though is how they delved into the story of Peter's parents and how they disappeared and what happened to them. I think that was really, really cool, and the sequence in it is really awesome too. You know, how they fight, you know, and in the airplane. You know, I think. What's her name? The mom of Peter Parker. She dies really fast, but you know, the dad of Peter Parker, he goes on and he kicks booty hole, and it was pretty awesome. I thought that fight. And also other aspects of the movie were really cool. You know, like when he does a whole New York thing, or when he with what's his name, Harry Osborn. When Harry Osborn is going all crazy and shit, those are really cool parts of the movie, you know. And when he injects that thing in his arm and all that stuff, you know, things like that. I feel like they should have delved more into it, and I wish they had. A question that I have for you guys, though, really quickly, is what do you guys think that he's going to remember that Peter Parker is Spider-Man? Because towards the end, before he gets into that fight with Spider-Man, Harry finds out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. So do you guys think, let me cough really quick or whatever I did there. Do you guys think that Harry will remember that Peter Parker is Spider-Man? Because I think that's going to be a pretty cool aspect to it, but it almost defeats the purpose, because I think the Sinister Six are supposed to be like, we're going to kill you, Spider-Man, but I don't think all of them know who Spider-Man is. So it's going to be really interesting to see, you know, who they get into the team. You know, obviously we saw Dr. Ock and also Vulture, but, you know, it's going to be interesting seeing who else is going to join. And also, do you guys think that what's his name? Electro. Do you think Electro died? Because towards the end, Electro, he blows up, but I mean, when he got not released, but he got like broken out of the asylum by Harry Osborn that needs his help. He basically just takes himself apart like Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen and puts himself back together like it was nothing. So I feel like he's not really dead, but they make it seem like he is. But even I'm pretty sure that Electro is part of the Sinister Six, or he's part of that group, or the original group at least. So I'm guessing that they're definitely going to bring him in, I'm guessing, but who knows, to be honest. But what do you guys think? Tweet me at Brown Man Films right there on the bottom right and tell me, what do you guys think? Do you guys think he's dead? And did you guys like how they handle the fighting sequences with Electro and Green Goblin? Because, like I said, I wish they could have just scratched out some of the things that they did with or the sequence with Paul Giamatti, and where he's stealing a random truck. It's like, you know, it was cool, but honestly, I just wish they would have scratched that and delved more into. Oh, I think it's Max, right? Max, that's Electro's character, and also into Harry Osborn, Green Goblin. You know, because they're best pals. him and Peter, and that would have been a really cool thing to see more of before they got into this huge fight, which I wish they would have gone into more detail with. And it obviously would have made the whole... It honestly would have made the whole fight more meaningful, because, yeah, they're friends, and they're really good friends from childhood, but they just don't delve into it enough, because, Peter Parker's breaking up with Gwen, she's taking him back, she's going to college, she's going, he wants to be Spider-Man, and he wants to find out about his dad, and then he finds that lab on the train tracks and all that stuff, so they just try and fit so much into this movie. Like I said, it's just so much that you just don't get to enjoy everything like you wanted to. And to be honest, I just wish they would have saved some of this stuff for Spider-Man 3 or some of the spin-off movies, because they're going to continue to make these movies for a long, long time. So why not save some of the awesome stuff just for later, and kind of delve more into it later in future movies, So who knows? Anyways, we are going to move into the final thoughts and the final score that I'm going to give The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And, like I mentioned, I did mention a lot of bad things about this movie, one of them being the trailer. Well, that's not really on the movie, but more the marketing of Sony and how they marketed the movie. But still, the trailer, it revealed too much of the movie, for my taste at least, and I feel like they could have cut down on some of the footage of that trailer. And also, putting 3 villains in the movie, it definitely took away from everything that happened in the movie, and especially took away from each other's fights, because Spider-Man fought Electro, Green Goblin, and Rhino, and it just kind of takes away from everything that happens in the fights, because they're trying to move into all these fights that you just don't get enough of either of them, or neither of them, because like I said, there's just so much happening that you just don't get enough of what you want to see. And so, like I said, I just wish they would have saved all these other things for later movies, to be honest. And also Gwen and Peter's relationship, I think it was nicely handled. I really like how they handled their relationship, but I wouldn't mind seeing less of it, at least in parts, or if not, maybe not less of that, maybe less of your super friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, because again, I'm cool that he's helping out the community, but I want to see him fight the villains, Electro, all the other villains, because that's what I'm there for. That's what I paid to see. The Amazing Spider-Man being amazing and fighting bitches, you know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of the things that kind of piss me off a little bit about it. But there is, of course, some redeeming qualities. It definitely brought more to the table with more of an authentic Spider-Man. The action in this movie is amazing. Even though there is parts, like I said, that the action scenes could have been longer, it definitely is awesome action. And the special effects are, again, super awesome, and they just add more into the awesomeness of each fight, and like I said, you don't get to enjoy it as much as you want it to, but when you are watching it, they are pretty freaking awesome. And also the costume and just the way that they made Spider-Man in this movie, I feel like it's a lot cooler than the first one, and also a lot more true to the comic. So if you're a comic book fan, you're gonna love it. And if you're not a comic book fan, you're still gonna be like, oh, this is definitely an improvement from the first Spider-Man. Like I said, his web slinging, his agility, the way he fights, the way he uses webs, everything is just a lot cooler, a lot more Spider-Man, and you really feel like he's using everything to his advantage. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a cooler Spider-Man from the first movie, and definitely from the trilogy, from the Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and 3, from like 2005 and whatever. But yeah, so definitely an improvement from the first movie and from the other movies before. And also just in general, how they're bringing more Spider-Man, things into its universe. Because Spider-Man, the story of Spider-Man has so many cool things to it. It has so many cool villains, so many, aspects to it that you could use in the movie from the comics. And I feel like Sony is actually bringing more things from the comics into the movie, which is really awesome because if you have a favorite villain from the comics, hopefully you'll get to see it at some point, hopefully better than just like 2 seconds, obviously from the Amazing Spider-Man that we're watching now. But hopefully they'll bring more villains and more aspects of the Spider-Man universe into the movies in the future. So I'm definitely excited for that, and that's one thing that this movie showed me. And even though overall, even though there is some things that were bad, and some they weren't really bad, but they just kind of took away from the movie, from the awesomeness. It was an awesome movie, and it still kept me wanting to see more. Even with the issues that I talked to you guys about, it's still an awesome movie. I enjoyed the shit out of it, and like I said, I want to see a third one. I want to see a fourth one, and I'm super pumped to see, like I said, the next movies and even the spin-off films, with Venom and all this other stuff that they're gonna do. So yeah, even though there has some issues, there's there are issues that are fixable in future movies, and issues that they take away in certain aspects, but not enough for you or for me to hate the movie. I still loved it. I still enjoy the shit out of it. And I even went ahead and bought a Spider-Man figure the other day. And that's how much I love the movie. I collect figures, and it is an awesome movie, So I suggest that you guys go watch it. I truly enjoyed it. Like I said, there is some things that, maybe, they weren't perfect, but they can be fixed, and it's still an awesome movie regardless. So we'll have to wait and see. But Sony, stop putting so much footage on your trailers. What the fuck, really? But yeah, like I said, it is an awesome movie. I definitely recommend you guys go watch it if you haven't already, and if you have, it is awesome, and I'm telling you, I enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys did too. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. So yeah, definitely go check it out. It's in theaters right now, and it's amazing. You get it? Never mind. But yeah, anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Brown Man Reviews, and make sure to tie that like button with your web and spank it. And also, if you didn't like it, then make sure to make a bunch of spiders crawl up someone's booty hole because you disliked it so much. And also, click on my face on the top there, and you guys can go check out my channel, more videos in my channel, and maybe even subscribe, because I'll be having more reviews of the next big blockbuster movies that are coming out, like Godzilla, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. Also, leave your comments down below telling me what you guys thought of this review, if you liked it, if you didn't, if you liked the movie, what you liked about it, what you didn't, or if you agree with me of the things that I talked about here. And also follow me on Twitter at BrownmanFilms, and holler at me. Hey, say hashtag them reviews, because they sexy, bro. Anyways, guys, have a very crunchy and spider-filled day.